This is the tutorial for the ART159 product web landing page. And what we're going to look at here is setting up your document and starting to pull some of those elements from your brochure and adding to that to create these additional elements that are needed for this assignment. So first thing we want to do is take a look at the assignment sheet here and take a look at the requirements. We want to make sure that we are creating the document with the proper settings, as well as using the high resolution images that you can pull from your brochure. We do need to include this call to action button and a navigation bar within the space. And again, you can research other inspiration for layout to get an idea of how that should be laid out, some graphic assets, so on and so forth, and follow along with the additional steps here as well. So there are some resources that are available for this project. The first one is going to be a website that's called the Noun Project, and this is a space where you can download icons that can be used for different projects, and essentially these are all free usage icons. So you can search for different things. You know, for example, if you wanted to search for a cart for your icon or the website, you might be able to find something here and download that. In fact, let's grab one of these here. Let's click on the get this icon. It's going to ask you how you want to download this. Now for this, we are simply using this for a school project. So you would want to pay for it if you're working for a client, but we are going to go ahead and use the free version, and you want to download the SVG file so that you can open up the actual vector software there. Whoops. So I want to actually open this up not in the web here. I want to open this up in Illustrator, so I'm actually going to drag this all the way down to Illustrator. And here you can actually select this and start to bring this into your working document. So this is just an option for you here. Let's cruise back to the web landing page here. There's also some areas here for your web safe fonts that you can use if you wanted to access those. But again, you can pull elements from your brochure. So let's go back into the assignment sheet so we can set up this document. So we want to set this up as an InDesign website. It's 1366 by 768 pixels. And we want to have 0.5 inch margins or 36 pixel margins around. So if I go ahead and open up InDesign, bring my InDesign here. I've actually already created one here, but we're going to start from scratch. I'm going to come into Document, and I want to bring up my new document. And you'll notice up here at the top that there are presets. And if you go into Web, you can go into View All Presets. And at the very bottom, in my case, is a 1366 by 768. And if I click on this, it's going to give me the sizing that I need for everything. I have my 1366 pixels by 1768 pixels, one page starting at one column with margins of 36 and no bleeds since it's a web page. So with that preset, I can go ahead and hit create. And now you're going to start to bring in your assets. So in the case of mine, I have this logo that I pulled. I'll go ahead and bring this into my InDesign document by dragging that. Just fit this to my image a little bit closer. Now if I want to resize this, I can use my transform tool. Oops. So I can move this over a little bit. Some overlay with the features there. I want to use my transform tool. So I can come into the free transform, and anytime I'm sizing something, I want to always make sure to hold that shift key so that it keeps those original proportions. I'm going to decrease the size of this quite a bit, and I'm going to kind of place this up at the top here just for now. And I'm going to go ahead and create my navigation bar, which is just at this point going to be a text box with some different areas. Now, what I would suggest is opening up the actual product page for what you are going to be working with. You know, looking at how they use their products, maybe even additional competitors featuring that product or whatever that may be, just to get some ideas about how you might include some of those assets here. So I see that they had Discover there. I'm going to use discover, and I'm going to hit the tab key 3 times. I'm going to use shop, hit that tab key 3 times again. I'm going to use about, tab 3 times, and then I'm going to use contact. Now, since I'm dealing with text now, I want to come up to my type at the top of my window, and I want to go to show hidden characters so I can make sure that I'm being consistent with my tabs and what have you. And of course, you could use separate text boxes there as well. Now, this is where I want to go back into my brochure that I've created and pull some of these assets. So in this case, I'm going to pull some of these text boxes that I have and copy those. Of course, you could copy some of the images as well. But I'm going to come back in here, and I'm just going to place this text over here on the side for now. Actually, we'll put it right over here for now. And as soon as I brought this in, it actually brought in my paragraph styles that I created in my brochure. And if you don't see that, you can of course go up to Window, Styles, and open up your paragraph styles. But here I can see that I brought in those styles. So now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and click on my subheader style here, and I'm just going to go ahead and oops, sorry, tough to see my toolbar there. I'm going to go ahead and just change this to bold, maybe make it a little bit larger inside the space. And of course, you can always change this by even actually use medium. Let's go back to bold for that. I like that. Ooh, let's do the condensed bold actually. That looks nice. And you notice I use all capitals here, and I'm just going to kind of center this within my logo here as well, so that that's kind of feeling like it's starting to be this navigation bar up here at the top of my web page. And then this is where I could bring in the additional cart that I've downloaded from Illustrator by copying this, bringing this into InDesign here. I can then again use my free transform tool to scale this down. I don't need this to be very large. Remember, most of your elements within your navigation bar are going to be pretty small. And of course, I could add in like a profile icon there, or something like that if I wanted to as well. I can change the colors of these with the fill if I wanted to make that maybe not 100% black, but let's say 80% black even. Maybe I even want to do that with my text here as well. Oh, actually, that's already that color that I had there, so let's do that instead. I'm going to grab this and just make this the color of the text. Something along those lines. And then I want to go ahead and start bringing in some images as well. So just like I did with the brochure, I'm going to go ahead and use this rectangular frame tool here. And I'm going to kind of bring down a guideline for myself. And I did this by coming up to my rulers and clicking into the rulers and bringing down some sort of guideline to position my text boxes. If you don't see your rulers, again, you can always go up to, View and go to Show Rulers. And again, I'm going to come over to my rectangular frame tool. I'm going to draw a large sort of image space here. And then I'm going to draw a few smaller boxes down below. And I don't need to be perfect with this just yet. This one I made a perfect square. And I'm going to use my Option key on my keyboard, or my Alt key, to duplicate that and bring it over within the space. I'm going to do that again. And with my smart guides on here, it's letting me know that those are perfectly spaced. Something like that. Let me actually bring these over and kind of center all these here. That's looking kind of good. Now I can go ahead and start placing some of these images. So coming up to the first rectangular box here, I can go to Import File and figure out where I have these images. I've downloaded a few images of my product. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop these in. I'm just selecting each one of these boxes and uploading these images, and I'm going to fit these here in a second. So grab this one here, and one last one as well. All right, now Now that I have these images in, I can select each one of these text frames and I can come over to my frame fitting options within my properties tab. And I'm going to use the fit content proportionally option, the second button there. And I'm going to do that for all of these. I'm going to drag, select all of these and use that same option so that I can see that full image. It's not going to distort it. And here, if I come into my view and go to preview, I can start to see what this is going to look like. I have my main image, my product, my additional images that are all in line here and feel like they are approximate sizes with one another to justify that within the space. So here's where I want to add in some additional info, and this is where it kind of comes into looking at the website a little bit further. So coming back to the actual website, I can see that I have some color options, I have some pricing, I have the name of the product featured, some shipping details, so on and so forth. So it kind of depends on what you want to include here, but I definitely want to include some options and a call to action button. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the titling up here to what are they called? Beats Studio Pro. Studio Pro. And I am going to take this text box here and I'm going to make this bigger within the space. And I'm going to go ahead and put some hard returns in here. I can create some additional text boxes if I wanted to as well, and that'd be perfectly fine. In fact, maybe I'll do that actually. I'm going to erase all of this and go ahead and just create some additional text boxes. I'm going to put this towards the bottom. Now for this, I want to bring some sort of guideline into this space just to make sure that everything is aligning here. And I can bring up additional text boxes. Maybe I don't need this to be quite so big. We can still use placeholder text. I'm just going to take some of this here and I'm going to use the subheader within the space of my paragraph styles that I've already created. And this is where you might want to go in and create some actual shapes. So here I have my ellipse tool, which I can find over my toolbar. The default is the rectangle tool, but if you click and hold, you can pull in different shapes. And I'm going to use my ellipse tool here. Let me make this box smaller. I'm going to create 4 different circles. So again, I'm going to hold my shift key to create those. I'm going to select this, and again, I'm going to hold my option key to duplicate that a couple times over, making sure those are perfectly spaced. If for any reason they are not spaced, you can always select those and use your alignment tool. So if we had some that were maybe off within the space, we can grab all of those, align all of those to the vertical center or to the horizontal center, and you can even distribute these by clicking on the options, distribute these evenly within the space. So now that I have those, I'm going to go ahead and add some color here. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of those. I'm going to turn the stroke into, say, 80% black here, just so it's not so bold. And for my first color, I'm going to feature the actual color that I have in the headphones here. So I'm going to click on my fill, and I'm going to come over to my eyedropper tool and just select one of the colors from my headphones here. And you can use that eyedropper tool to select that. For the other colors, I can go ahead and reference the web page again. It looks like I have a brown, a navy, and a black. And actually, I'm going to start with the black and go ahead and use that. I'm going to actually use that on my third one here. So let's use this one for my black. I'm going to adjust my fill here to black. This one is going to be my brown. I'm going to hit my fill here. If I don't see the actual color, I can always go into color and search for that here. A little darker here with my brown. And the last one was navy. Go into my pretty dark navy, I think. Something along those lines. And here I'm going to go ahead and call out the color instead. Color, black. And I could potentially change the typeface here to be a little bit lighter, or that might be too much. Let's go with thin italic here. Something like that. Spacing feels awfully tight to me, so I'm going to just kick that out a little bit. Bring this closer down to my colors. Let's go ahead and, since I don't have the black selected, let's go ahead and change this to whatever the actual color is, which is sandstone, they call it. You can see how I'm just kind of referencing the website here. Sandstone. So here's where I'd want to go in. I want to create some sort of pricing. So I'd want to create some sort of text box, which would give me some information about that pricing potentially, how much that's going to be. In this case here, let's go ahead and use the typeface here, but not in bold, or excuse me, not in italic, just a regular bold and slightly larger. And let's again reference the website, which is $349.99. And I'm actually use the condensed bold for this. And then we want to create the call to action button. So again, I'm going to come up to my, this time I'm going to use my rectangle tool. And I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle here within the space. Typically, you want, I'll go ahead and use my eyedropper to grab one of these colors here, but I want this to be brighter. I want it to grab somebody's attention within the space. So I don't want to use something necessarily like, magenta that's going to go crazy, but what I could use, back out of here, you can always go into your options and pick your CMYK here, is maybe something like this gold that I have up here in the space. So I'm actually going to use my eyedropper tool to reference that gold. That seems like a good sort of tie-in, or I could even use maybe the red here that's potentially found in some of the elements up here at the top. In fact, I might actually do that just to have it tie in. Well, let's see if I take that away. It's pretty bold. You know what? I'm going to go with the gold here. I think that's a little softer, a little more manageable. I'm just previewing that. I'm using the shortcut of the W key, but it's the same thing of using the normal and preview down here as well. And let's go ahead and create a new text box. Now, sometimes when you try to use text inside here, again, it tries to put it in the text, and I don't want to, or excuse me, in the box. I don't want to do that. I want to have that sit outside of that box. So I'm actually going to create my text box over here and put in buy now. I'm going to go ahead and use my header example here, but I'm going to decrease the size of this quite a bit. And I'm actually going to make the fill of this white. And I want to go ahead and use my center alignment, not my left alignment. And now I can place this on my shape there without it going inside. And I can kind of see how this is looking. It's looking okay. I might decrease the size of that a little bit and actually kick out the tracking more. Something like that. Kind of center that there. So I'm starting to get this together. Now, of course, I would go in and fine tune this, add in additional elements, maybe some promotional items. You could even create that video over here along the side. If I go back into my space here, using my guideline and approximate spacing from what I have on my left to my right, I could maybe create some sort of area here, which might include one of the additional images from the brochure, and have some sort of play button on top of that. So let's go back into that real quick here. We can do this. So by using that, I'm going to import another file. Let's go into the search that I had there. Here it is. Use the same image that I had. Whoops. Oh, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just drag this in here so I know where it is in my Finder. And use that frame fitting option. That one I actually want to fill the frame proportionately. And that's actually going to, I think, work pretty well for me. So I could actually probably go into the noun project and find some sort of play icon, but let's just create that ourselves. I'm just going to use, actually I'm going to use the pen tool here. Well, let's do it with some shapes. I'm going to use the square here, and then I'll take the pen tool and simply erase one of those. Rotate this within the space. Whoops, too much. There we go. And then create my ellipse around that. Something like this here. I'm going to select both of these and go ahead and align these perfectly to one another. That looks a little off, so I'm actually going to pull this over. Something along the lines there. Let's take both of these and let's use a stroke of white with a higher weight. Let's bring this over our image to see what this is starting to look like. Ooh, a little too heavy. Let's back down on that a little bit. It's not bad. I might actually come into this a little bit and decrease the size of this play button. Maybe even open this up slightly within this shape. Drag this anchor point out just a little bit here. Give me more of that triangle shape so I can kind of center that. And then I could even grab both of these. I could make those solid, of course, if I wanted to. I could drop the opacity of these a little bit to make it more of this tonal element. Maybe that stroke is still a little thick in there. So something along those lines. I'm kind of getting this idea of a video over here. Maybe I would have some additional images to feature that, or some sort of additional explanation over here, even within the space, that I might want to show a little bit differently, aligning to the right, and, maybe bring that in as a smaller text box, whatever that may be. So you're kind of thinking about how you can position this within the space. Looking at this, I would definitely make some tweaks. I think overall this image is getting rather large. I think I'm going to actually go ahead and just decrease this right now within the space. Maybe adding some sort of header over here that lets people know what this video is all about, and kind of carrying on from there. But this gives you a good jumping off point. And once you have completed all this, of course, you would save this out as an InDesign file and then a PDF, and that would be what you will upload to the canvas. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing your final designs.